Oi, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another video, a talking video that I enjoy doing these. They're fairly low effort, but I feel like discussion is important. And so if you guys didn't know, the PTB came out today, which means the 4.6.0 PTB hit Steam with the new Korean Killer and the Korean Survivor. And there is a lot of interesting conversation happening around the appearance of the killer specifically. And we saw a very similar conversation happen. I keep burping, sorry. During the Survivor animation changes. And the conversation keeps being that things aren't scary enough, or the survivors aren't scared enough, or something of that nature. So like with the new killer, the Trickster, people saying, well, he doesn't look scary. He doesn't fit the scary nature of the game. He doesn't look scary enough. Which is such an interesting concept to me, because if I think about it, Legion does not look scary to me at all. Like Trapper's a buff guy in a mask, but like that's kind of it. You know, like the scary part of the game, I feel like this is just maybe me. The DBD is not a horror game. All right. Horror stems from like the unknown, the idea of like you're watching something and you're not sure what's going to happen next, and there's like a little jump scare and there's tingles on the back of your neck and you're like, what's going to happen? When you play games like Outlast and when you play video games that have some element of horror, it's like there's agency, but you're like, I don't know what's going to happen to me next. I don't know how to handle the situation. Things are going to jump out at me. Are they not? Etc. And DBD seems like a horror game for like the first like 50, 100, maybe like 200 hours, but the horror part of it wears away. The developers know that. We should know that. Like, the horror part of it goes away. Horror cannot last in perpetuity if there is an expected loop of gameplay. Sit on gens, hear terror radius, where's killer, killer's there, loop around a pallet, slam the pallet, whatever that gameplay loop is. Eventually, you know there's a person behind that character, and no longer are you trying to outsmart the character or be afraid of the character. No longer are you playing a role in a movie. You're a person going against another person and like using your wit to outsmart them. And speaking of scary, it's very interesting. Like we talk a lot about like this killer doesn't look scary enough, and it's like. What is scary at the end of the day anyway? Like, at some point you're slamming a like pallet made of like 2x4s in like Freddy Krueger's face, and he's like, oh no. And then like you teabag and you're like holding a flashlight, and then he goes, oh my god. Like when you flashlight save, like conceptually, can we talk about how like that's not like a scare? Like what are we talking about here? Like a survivor like squares up and is like draw and like flashlight saves, and you're like, oh, I'm so blind, I dropped that survivor because my eyes. Like scary is not like it's not. I don't think new things need to hit a scary threshold to like, yes, there should be horror thematics and elements, but like it's super weird that like Trapper's just a guy, but nobody like rags on him because he's the mascot of the game and he's like a buff dude. It feels super weird that they're, and it's not like, maybe it's not that political, but because it's like a smaller, more like effeminate male who just has like a baseball bat, people are like, oh, it doesn't really match the vibe. And maybe it's like not that deep, but Legion's the same thing. And Legion is like, I feel like, because I play on PC and PS4, I play a lot of PS4 lately. I'm like rank 9 on there on Survivor because ranking up is awful. And it's like everybody plays Legion or Ghostface, right? If we're talking about like what's like, scary, it's not Legion. I'll tell you that much. It just feels super weird that we like set this weird standard that doesn't like apply to everything. Like most of the game isn't scary beyond your first like couple hundred hours or 50, 60 hours, right? Especially if you're trying to get good. Like invisible hag traps, Myers that's like, scratched mirror at Leary's. Like there are exceptions, but that's not like scary. That's like, oh God, he got me. But you're not like, oh. It's like so situational. It just seems really strange. I understand if you don't really enjoy the aesthetic or the K-pop stan, or if you don't like K-pop or anything like that, or if you just don't like his abilities, that's fine. Like, hey, the abilities aren't for me. But I think hinging your argument for not liking the killer on like it's not scary enough. I think you got to think deeper. There's so much of this game that's like not scary. It's a really thin conversation, and I think it keeps us from having deeper conversations about why you truly don't like things, right? Like, oh, I just don't like the ability. It's not for me. It just feels like Huntress, or, you know, I don't like the baseball bat. It seems weird. Or like, maybe you just don't like stuff that's edgy. And in that case, you probably don't like Legion, and that's fine too. That's fine. You know what I mean? I had to like ask your opinion. Like, why do we keep thinking that stuff has to be scary to be in DBD? Because, like, I don't know. It just feels weird to me. There's nothing they could add in the game that would be like terrifying to me. I would look at it as another challenge. And I understand some people might think things can be scary for a while, but it all wears off. It's just how our human brains work. Nothing is scary forever, and in that way the game can't remain a true horror game. It just has those horror elements, the thematics, the themes, the music, the atmosphere. It just seems weird. What do you guys think? All right, do you like the new Killer? A lot of people like the new Killer, but my comment section, of course, is filled with the negative Nancys who say, like, no, Killer's not scary enough. I think scary is the furthest thing from a lot of the minds of these people. I think it's a jumping off point. They're trying to make a different argument. But what do you guys think? What's the reason behind? What's the layer underneath the not scary enough argument? I'd love to hear it. Hope you guys are having a good day, taking care of yourselves. Of course, we'll be live on Twitch tomorrow morning, taking more of the PTB, maybe doing custom games because PTB queue times are awful. And if you guys want to play the Killer, you can come through and we'll give you a round at playing Killer. So thank you guys for being here, and I'll pray to the entity to see you in the next video.